Has the collapse started, or is it about to continue? That's the question on our minds, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be surprised by what has happened today, because the market is completely surprised about it. The unemployment rate came in showing more people are unemployed. Happy days for Jerome Powell and his gang at the Federal Reserve. Unfortunately, at the same time, the non-farm payrolls showed a reading of 313,000 more jobs. Happy days for people in employment in the US. But that's a problem for the Federal Reserve. The average hourly earnings came in softer at the same time. Signals are mixed across the board, ladies and gentlemen. The market is trying to work out what's the next step. Word on the street suggests that 25 basis points may have already been priced into the market. But given with this hot labor market and one reading suggesting that it's gone up ever so slightly, is it enough to grant that the Fed may look towards 50 basis points? This is going to crush equities across the board. In tonight's video, we're going to break it all down for you and get you ready and prepared for what's to come next week. Bitcoin on the daily time frame ain't looking too promising either, ladies and gentlemen. Given with what's happened today in the marketplace, Bitcoin hasn't done any recovery at all. We bring on the hybrid system indicator and we can see Bitcoin is working its way back down into the vector candle zones themselves, and we have the weekend to contend with. Man, there's a lot to absorb with regards to the news coming out. Of course, the Silicon Valley story is creating a little bit of fear across the marketplace, no different to the same fear that happened back in 2007, 2008, when the Lehman Brothers Bank itself become bankrupt. Is this the start of something? We know Silvergate has gone shut up shop right now, and that bad boy right there is trading at $2.40. This is what you call a bank run, and the same story is happening to the Silicon Valley Bank itself, where investors are trying to get their money back. Once they've done that, no longer Silicon Valley Bank. Finished. In the dustbin. Now, with the news that came out today regarding the employment data, unemployment rate has gone up. Cool. That's good news for the Fed. But at the same time, they added more jobs in the non-farm payrolls. But average hourly earnings have actually softened. It's still not enough. Word on the street is suggesting that traders are pricing in a total of 100 basis points in the interest rate increases. But Powell wants to get it done faster. This is going to put more pressure on the marketplace itself. Now, we've got even worse things happening overseas. Russia has now been seen taking weapons used by Ukrainian forces and providing them over to Iran. Now, that would make sense given that Iran and Saudi Arabia are now joining forces together. And this is where it's starting to get a little bit concerning, ladies and gentlemen. Why are these guys joining together? And it's hard enough that China was the one that brokered the conversation. Okay, so Russia's taking weapons that they have seized, giving them to Iran. Saudi Arabia are joining forces again with Iran, given that China has sorted that out, which only means one thing. Cool. What's the US doing in between that? Well, only recently we see that a Russian submarine pops up on the coasts of the US. Now, this is starting to, well, it's not a first time that this has happened, given that this is usually what Russia like to do. So how are the US preparing for this bad boy? Well, we go over to the US Department of Contracts and we find that they have given a contract, a translogistics company in Florida, over $500 million worth towards the Navy. Okay, so that means they're going to be providing services for the Navy in terms of logistics. Would that be consistent with the Russian submarine popping off on radar? Because these bad boys right here will provide Navy ships, Marine Corps, military, Sea Lift Command, Air Force, Army, Coast Guard sort of stuff. This is the stuff that this company, Translogistics, is going to be providing services for to move things around. Now, with that being said, even if Saudi Arabia and Iran are joining forces and Russia is popping up on the coast of the US itself, what does that tell you in terms of making opportunities from this? This is the sad truth, ladies and gentlemen, because someone's going to earn a dollar doing this. Cool. So we go and look at the best aerospace defense stocks that are pumping up right now, and you can see Astrotech Corp itself up 1,578% for the year. Now, this company itself is a provision of science and technology development and commercialization businesses. It operates through the following segments: Astrotech Technologies. You can research this company and check it out for yourself, but this is aerospace and defense stocks, okay? Going back into the charts, ladies and gentlemen, we can see that the marketplace itself hasn't done so well today, even though the data that came out regarding the jobless claims was sort of a positive thing, but the market is mixed about it. We go and look at NASDAQ itself, and you can see NASDAQ pulled some very tricky behavior, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. If we go into the 1 hour time frame, NASDAQ did the same trickery as it did yesterday, and it's done it today. And these are the sort of things that you can look to exploit when you are trading using the hybrid system. Look at this zone right here. Vector candle pushed to the upside, they instantly reverse it. Why? Because this is the story across the board. The market is in a down phase. It's in a markdown phase or a bearish market. And this is what you call a rally. To take advantage of any positions that they've opened, look left and you see they've recovered the vector candle in the chart. Happy days. Full recovery of the region itself, and now they work their way back down again. They did exactly the same thing again today. They've marked price down, and NASDAQ is taking the nosedive even lower. Let me share something with you to help you understand the logic of how you can take advantage of this sort of thing. This was my projection that I shared to the patrons of the channel. And if you haven't checked out the Patreon, go and have a look, because this is the sort of thing that we talk about. On the 25th of February, I gave the projection on Bitcoin making a move towards 19,200 within a 2-week period, okay? You can see where Bitcoin's price action is right there. And this is on the 12-hour time frame. So my logic for this happening was on the basis that Bitcoin was going to come down and test this point of control, because that's where the next interesting area is for Bitcoin. If we actually look, you can see right there, that's the next point, where logically, if buyers are going to step in at Bitcoin, that's where they're going to be. That's where Mr. Market Maker is going to force the retail trader to step in, which is where he is going to start marking price back up again, okay? Now we then go over to the chart of Bitcoin to see exactly how that's played out. And so far, so good. We look at the projection point. What was it? 19,218. And then we go over to Bitcoin, and we are now at 19,925 with a low of 19,550. So how far are we off our projection? We're not too far off, 218. That takes us right down to that point right there. We missed it by $335, but I've still got 2 more days to realize the return on that projection. We've got today, tonight, and of course, tomorrow's session before the new week starts. How are we of the understanding of that? All we need to be looking at is the vector candles in the chart. And when we look at this move over here, which is where Bitcoin started to drop, when price starts to break down aggressively, given that Bitcoin had several attempts to break higher, and at this point in the chart, this is where I was looking. I was looking at the whole and half number principle. There is $25,000 right there, okay? Bitcoin was using these vector candles, so they were pushing price up, but not following through with it. This is what you want to be looking at. Try and help yourself be aware of how price moves around certain areas, because 95% of people buy Bitcoin on the principle of value. They think it can't go to 10K, it can't go to 100K, or it must hold 25, it must hold 15, or whatever. It's all what people think about, and it's value, okay? When you take the idea of value, you can utilize that in your trading and exploit it. Look, Mr. Market Maker likes to build his shorts above key notable areas. Why? Because that's what he likes to do. You like to build your positions. You want to sell from the highest point, don't you? So he starts marking prices above these zones right here. Now, with that being said, look what happened. He starts the party by breaking down from here. Now, we were getting bouts of information and word on the street about the interest rates, and that the market itself was just being defiant to the Federal Reserve's actions. Again, don't fight the Fed. Bitcoin breaks down down towards the 200 EMA and makes one more attempt back up. So when we go back into this chart, you can see from this point right here, it came down, retrace, break, consolidate, back up, continuation lower. And that's exactly what had happened in Bitcoin in this chart right here. There's your retrace, drop, consolidate, rip to the downside. We look left and we can only assume that Bitcoin is not done until it eats that green vector candle at 18,459. Now, with that being said, we're going to be going into the weekend. Now, some of you might be taking chances and trying to trade Bitcoin on the logic that it's going to go lower. But the dominance of the dollar today has gone down. Now, there could be a retrace that happens in Bitcoin, but it's all going to be on how Asia reacts to today's information regarding the Silicon Bank. Has any investors in Asia got money tied up over there? That's the question. They're going to want to get rid of any exposure if they have, and Bitcoin will be one of them. Moving forward, guys, use the weekend to really just relax because it's been a treacherous week in terms of news announcements. We have got even more news coming out next week, so I suggest you prepare yourselves and get ready for another volatile week ahead. If you are new to the channel and you like the flavor that we are bringing, make sure you hit the subscribe button because we'll be going live again Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to bring that fire for the New York Open. Mad love and respect, guys. Take care of yourselves, and I'll check in with you all on Monday. Peace.